Alright, Skip back here for the second edition of Skip Scoop. We had a pretty good weekend down in Texas, picked up another top 20 win. Why don't you talk about the weekend?
It was a good weekend. I mean, we learned a lot about our team, much like we did the first week, and opening with some strong competition in Myrtle Beach. We did the same thing at Corpus Christi this weekend, and had a Friday night victory against what I thought was a good team. Team coming off of a victory over Texas, and got a really strong performance from our bullpen, and the guys swung the bats more like we're capable of, and picked up a solid win, and followed that up with another ranked opponent, UConn, on Saturday, and Blake Monor, I thought, threw a very, very good game, and Alex Dickerson changed the game with one swing, and it was a scout's dream. I mean, there's a couple of potential first-round draft guys in there, so there are a lot of scouts around, a good environment, and it was good to come out on top. Yesterday we dropped a heartbreaker to really a national powerhouse Oregon State team. We had to lead in the 8th and gave up a 3 spot, maybe a little youthfulness on the mound there a little bit. But all in all, I thought it was a good weekend for our team. Guys played well, we pitched well, and really building some momentum as we head into this week.
That was all good on the diamond, but not everything went well with the trip. Why don't you talk about some of the travel issues and one Dylan Dooney?
Well, first of all, by my attire, I just grabbed what was in the closet today, and I got the Mr. Clean look going. But we had a tough flight, certainly out there and back. Not only was the flight split up and taking different planes, and then coming back and landing in the middle of what was, I guess, a tornado warning last night, and we're very lucky to get in, and we were delayed. And yeah, so as if that wasn't bad enough, the actual worst part and most harrowing experience for all the passengers on the plane was Dylan Dooney, I guess, following up what he thought was a pretty good performance on the bus last week. So he took his talents to the airline. So take a look at this.
California girls were unforgettable. Daisy Dukes, bikinis on top. Sun-kissed skin so hot, we'll melt your popsicle. California girls were undeniable. Fine, fresh beers, we got it on lock. West Coast represents, now put your hands up.
Okay, as you can see, never a dull moment with Indiana baseball, and the good part about that was I was on the other flight, so I didn't have to witness that stuff. But we had a great question from Beth in Cincinnati last week, and if you remember, she asked about superstitions, and I promised that this week we would rather than me sit and tell about them, we'd let the guys tell about them. So in baseball, there's a lot of downtime. You're actually going to hear from the guys right before yesterday's game, as we were sitting around waiting for the other team to finish batting practice, about some of our superstitions, beginning with Dylan Swift, senior catcher.
Swifty! Hey man, we're doing a little thing on guys' superstitions and rituals. We heard you got a few interesting ones. What you got?
Superstitions. I'm a pretty superstitious guy, so is baseball. Let's see. I've worn the same jockstrap, same socks. We've won the first 2 games this weekend. Eating the same exact thing for breakfast. I've listened to the same 3 songs before we got to the field. That's all true. I'm trying to think. Oh, I haven't washed my cup since we've been here. Actually, since we beat Coastal Carolina, we've had a couple practices. Same cup, it hasn't been washed. I just do everything the exact same. We're having a good time. We're winning. But let's see, what else is there? Have you met Gary yet? Make sure you get some guys to introduce you to Gary. Gary's doing real well right now.
All right, well, we're going to go talk to Gary Swift. I appreciate the information, even if it was a little too much.
No problem.
Hey, Drew, man, Swifty was telling us you guys got a new friend, Gary?
Yeah, we do. I'd like you guys to come on over here and meet Gary. This is Dr. Gary Sinclair, PhD in philosophy and psychology. He came home with us from South Carolina last weekend. He was in the trash can. One man's trash is another team's treasure. Basically, our philosophy is if you buy into Gary, Gary will buy into you. He's had 2 full games here so far, knock on wood. He's 2-0. Just does big things for us. He's a rally starter. He's even keel, as you can see. He doesn't show too much emotion. But yeah, buy into Gary, Gary will buy into you.
My superstition is that I always keep a room key in my back left pocket. Did it all the time growing up. And I didn't do it against Virginia Tech and against Boston College, and they're the only 2 games that we've lost this year. and I've done it every game since, and we won them all.
Hey, do you have any superstitions?
I don't step on the lines. That's not a superstition. That's just out of respect for the grounds crew.
All right, Skip, a great question from Beth, but let's get into this week's inquiries from the fans. What we got going on?
Well, keep the questions rolling. Always appreciate it. This one comes from Katie from Evansville. What's the schedule of these college baseball players, and does the entire team travel with you? Well, I assume you mean these players, as in the IU players, and I can tell you it's a rigorous schedule. We play 56 games in the spring. Majority of our schedule is played on the road early in the season. If you just take like last weekend, we leave on Thursday afternoon. We play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we got back literally probably 2:30 last night, and it was as you've already heard, a rough one in more than just one way. Getting in, and the weather was bad, but our guys probably hit the pillow probably 2:30 and up for their 8 o'clocks, and Coach Greenspan doing class checks today. Does the entire team travel with you? Another great question. No, they do not. We have a travel roster of 25 that we can take. Our full roster is 35 players, but usually, 10 kids are staying back every trip. A great question, Katie from Evansville. This comes from Lee from Bloomington. I'm a big fan of IU baseball. We love that, Lee. Very nice. Could you please let me know where I can purchase one of your white game jerseys? Lee, those things are special to the program. But I'll tell you what, we're going to put you, and we're going to run it across the bottom of the screen. Contact Brad in the varsity shop and see if he can't get you in touch with a white Indiana University baseball jersey. But I'm sure there's a compliance issue or something where we're not allowed to sell our game jerseys to you. If we could, I would. Great question, Lee. It must be the apparel network here at Indiana Baseball, because this comes from Amy in San Diego. Are there any cute women's IU baseball t-shirts and sweatshirts for the moms to buy? Well, I've done some research on that. Stepped outside the door. Our intern, Joanna Halls, who happens to be a woman, she informed us that there may not be specifically baseball tops in the varsity shop downstairs, Amy, but there are some really cute and attractive women's tops as well. So, but I would suggest maybe get a hold of Brad as well, and let's make those sport specific. So we're going to wear Brad out. We're going to keep doing that. Last question. This comes from Nick in Waterloo, Iowa. Or Indiana. I'm sorry, I played in Waterloo, Iowa there, Nick. So sorry, Nick from Waterloo, Indiana. Who do you root for in Major League Baseball, and who's my favorite player? You know what, Nick? I thought I would be all about. I'm going to answer the question without saying a word. And there you have it for this week's Questions of the Week. And if you can't tell, that was me, Nick, in the Cubs uniform, and my favorite player is me. I'm just kidding. But my favorite team are the Cubs. Favorite player? Oh, geez, I don't know. I love Derek Jeter. I love what he means to the New York Yankees. I think he's synonymous with the whole name. He plays the game hard and respect him greatly. Keep the questions coming. Always appreciate those, and we'll try to get to as many of those we can as we can next week.
And before we get going this week, Skip, I know you're a little busy, so we're going to get you out of here, but we got the first midweek game of the season playing at Xavier on Wednesday, and then also a 3-game stint down in Tennessee. Yeah,
head over to Cincinnati. A very good friend of mine, actually former IU assistant, Scott Guggens is the head baseball coach at Xavier. Good ball club. He always has his teams ready to play, so that's going to be a big challenge for us this week. And then we head off to another tournament this weekend in Knoxville, and with Bradley and University of Tennessee, and also Morehead State. So as we keep progressing through the season, just trying to really figure out what we've got, and looking forward to another good weekend of competition and hard play of baseball. So thanks again for joining us on another edition of Skip Scoop, and we'll see you next week.